What is up, everyone? Welcome to the YouTube channel. This YouTube channel is all about creating freedom and future, playing full out, giving it all away, and doing it over again. It's really about how can we create, there's the phone. How can we create freedom and abundance as a lifestyle in our businesses, in our brands, as entrepreneurs? How can this be something that is always there? Okay, so today specifically, we're talking about hey, how do you find clarity in how to fill your time out as an entrepreneur? So, like, how do we know that the things we're doing are actually making money or creating the result that we want in our life? And it's so funny because it's been a good while since I've actually asked myself the question, what do I want? And so I realized that I was implementing this process of understanding what it is I'm creating and how it's impacting my business. I was doing this wrong. I was doing it out of order. Because the real question that sometimes we are afraid to ask is, what is it that we want? What do you want? When was the last time you asked yourself that question? What do you want? So in business, this is super duper important because at the end of the day, if you're creating something in your business that you don't actually, it doesn't align with what you actually want to create, then why are you creating it? And if you're not clear on what it is that you want to create, then anytime you implement something, and you hit resistance, right? You hit a wall where you don't have enough time, you don't have enough resources, you don't have the network or the people for it. You keep on telling yourself the story that I don't have the resources, and guess what? It's not going to be that important to you, and you're just going to jump to the next thing. So I'm kind of this video is really directed towards the lovely creators out there who feel like they're jumping around all over the place, or they've tried a bunch of different career paths as an entrepreneur and they're not super clear. You're not super clear about what exactly works for you and how to even know that it works. So the first question we ask ourselves is like, what do I want? What do you want? And the second question we ask is, okay, so now that we're clear on what it is we want, is what we're doing right now aligned with that? So, for me, and really what this YouTube channel is about for those of you who love this space and watch all the content here, it's really about okay, as an entrepreneur, how can we create a lifestyle that is not like we're not replacing the craziness of a 9 to 5? Oftentimes entrepreneurs can actually be working more than 9 to 5ers because they're building and they're having to wear so many different hats. So, how can we break the chain of constantly having to go, go, go and actually create a brand and a business that's running itself where we're the leader in the group, right? We're the leader in the business, but we're not having to spend hours and hours and hours and hours every single week in our business trying to keep it afloat, trying to hold it together. Like, how can we create a consistent business plan that actually serves us and serves the people around us? For me, the vision, what I want is I want like freedom and consistency. I want to be able to create a brand that's running itself. I want to be able to create a set of skills that serve people and that people will pay for and that will support them in being independent creators themselves so that I can be an independent creator myself. That's kind of the goal, right? Now, for some of you, you've never asked yourself this question, what do I want? So take a minute because the rest of this content will be super, super valuable for you when you know what you want. So if you're watching this after it's live, hit the pause button really quick. Just take a couple minutes and write down some things that maybe you want. Maybe you want them, maybe you didn't know you wanted them. Just take a minute and write some things down so that you have an idea. For those of you who are watching live, we're just going to jump right into it, obviously, because this is live and I'm not going to wait 10, 15 minutes for everybody to write their stuff down. But when we get clear about what it is we want and we look at our life and how we're running our life now, we get to look at it and say, okay, what is working and what is not working? It's not judgment. It's not getting stuck on what's wrong, what's right. Who's wrong, who's right. It's about what's working in my life right now and what's not working in my life. When I started asking these questions, it served me so much and it served my clients, my family, the people in my life, because I wasn't showing up to every single activity or every single relationship in a very like condemning way. I wasn't like, well, this isn't for me, and I don't like this, and this is wrong, and this is bad. I was like, okay, is this working? So look at your business right now. If you're an entrepreneur and you're just starting out, or you've been in this game for a couple years and there's things that aren't working, write them down, right? Take note of them. What's working, what's not working. Then we get to create a plan of action. So this is where sometimes we go astray a little bit. So some of you are very clear on what you want. You're like, Katie, I don't need this first part. I know what I want. Ironically, sometimes we don't actually create a system of knowing when we actually get to what we want. Hear me on this. Sometimes you want something and you get it and you didn't even know you got it. Is that anybody relate? Raise your hand in the chat. And if you're watching this post it being live, then drop in the comments. What was the thing? What is there's been a thing in your life. What is the thing in your life that you really wanted and didn't actually realize that you already had? There have been plenty of those things in my life, and it reminds me constantly to really take an honest look at my life and see, am I being intimate with the things in my life? Am I being intimate with the people in my life? Am I being intimate with the things that I want and how they actually look, so that I know when they come into my life, instead of being like, huh, I wonder what happened. A great example of this is there's this really interesting story of, and obviously it's fictional, but it's this really interesting story about a guy who is like in a hurricane, and he's on top of a house that's floating away. I don't know if I'm getting this story exactly right. He's on top of this house that's floating away, and he's like, God, send me a sign. And all of these different signs go past, like a boat and a helicopter and like all of these different things that are coming to save him. And he's like, no, no, that's I'm waiting for a sign. And he didn't even realize that that was like, duh. Like there's always opportunities, there's always possibilities out there for you to experience and have, but are you actually seeing them as possibilities? Are you actually seeing them as opportunities? Or are you so stuck in your head about what exactly it's going to look like that you're not actually open to the possibilities? So there's definitely some balance there, right? We get to know what it is we want to create in our businesses, and we also get to be open-minded about what exactly it's going to look like. I am telling you, the most amazing things that have happened in my business and my brand are things that I did not expect it to look the way it looked. And it was some of the biggest, most amazing breakthroughs, because I was like, wow, this is absolutely incredible. I would have never even known to ask for this. And yet, here it is in front of me. And just because I was open to the possibility, I was able to receive it. So it's like, what am I missing? This question, right? Like, what am I filling my time with? Is it actually serving my business? Well, get clear on what you want. Be open-minded of what it looks like, but get clear on what you want. And then as you build out your business, you can constantly be checking in. Hey, is this in alignment with what I say I want from this business? For me, like some of my priorities, freedom, consistency. I want to be able to build a business that is consistently growing itself, that I'm not having to be there all of the time, right? So that's something I'm working my business out towards. It's part of the vision, it's part of what it will look like as it grows. So get a big picture of what it is that you want, what you want your business and being an entrepreneur to look like. And then we create a plan. We create a plan. Like, when was the last time you created an actual like step-by-step plan of what it's going to look like, how you get to create that thing? So one of the things that I'm looking at is like, okay, money, right? I've always had this like resistance to actually dealing with money in a way that is exciting and not in a way that's like so frustrating, depressing, like all these things. I've had all of these stories about money and why it's not good to I never wanted to be in my bank account. I never wanted to be like keeping track of my money. And so literally this weekend I've been getting really really intimate and clear about what does it look like? Where am I at? What am I creating in my business? What else do I get to create? How do I want it to look? All of the things. And then getting a clear plan about how many clients do I need a month? How many clients do I need a week? Whatever that looks like. So for you, ask yourself the question, am I clear? Do I have a clear step-by-step process of how I am getting to what I want? If the answer is no, cool. Take a minute and like I'm trying to find the word, but it's like It's like, we get to like create the plan backwards. Anybody help me out here if you're watching this live. It's reverse engineer. Thank you. Okay. It's reverse engineer. We get to reverse engineer what we are creating. So if you're saying, "Hey, I want this amount of money in my business a month or a year," then what does that look like? What are you charging for your clients? Some of you are like, "Katie, I don't want to go there." And the reason you're resisting it is because it's like it's not working. It's not working, right? Like sometimes the things we're resisting are the very things that are going to support us in actually getting clear and creating what we want. Ironically, the things in my life that I've resisted are the very, very things in my business that are stopping me from creating what I want. And so when I'm in resistance, I'm perpetuating this fear that I'm going to create something that I don't want. Guess what happens? I create that thing because I'm so afraid of it that I'm perpetuating it all over the place. So take a look at it. Are you being honest with yourself? Are you being open? Are you being clear about what it is you want and how exactly you are creating it? Our plans change. Every single day we wake up and we have no idea really what's going to happen in that day. We all know that to be true. There's things that happen in our life where it's like, well, that I didn't expect that. That's okay. The reality is we get to step forward and we get to say, okay, well, like I always approach this and I'm like, well, if the Lord wills, today I'm going to create this and I'm going to have this plan and I'm going to have this conversation with this person. And guess what? Sometimes that changes. Sometimes someone doesn't answer their phone. Sometimes something gets canceled. Sometimes something doesn't come through the way I expected. It doesn't matter how good you are at business, there's always going to be give and take. There's always going to be some like unpredictable event or experience or variable that occurs. That's okay. It's a part of being an entrepreneur. It's a part of creating in a world where there are variables. But at the end of the day, really what I've noticed that has really supported me as an entrepreneur is getting clear and noticing where I'm in resistance. Am I fearful of spending time on the wrong things? Well, do I know what the right things are? Like, am I actually doing the research to know what it is that will work and then spend time on that? Or am I just afraid of what could happen if I'm spending time on the wrong things? Do you follow me here? Do you see how, like, the way that we think changes what we create? It's like, it's powerful. So get curious with it. Look at your business, look at your brand, look at what you're wanting to create and get really clear what it is you want. Is what you have right now working or not working? When you are clear on what you want, how do you create a plan that actually supports that, that has a step-by-step process? And then finally, how do we actually create a way of looking at our results and seeing what worked and what didn't work? It's a beautiful cycle of planning, envisioning, right? Envisioning something, planning something, getting ready to take action, then taking action, and then looking at our results. And as long as we're in this cycle of thinking about creating something, taking action on it, following through, and taking a look at our results, we can shift and create whatever we want to create because we're able to logically look at something and say, okay, well, this worked. This showed up in my life. And like I showed up this way in my life and that worked. I was determined. I was proactive. I was pursuing these conversations and I got clients. Cool. Or we could look at our results and say, well, I only had this many conversations and I had this many clients. So the amount of determination and rigor and initiation that I acted on highly impacted the amount of clients I had. Cool. It's neutral. You just get to look at it as results. That's all. And then you shift and create whatever needs to be created again. Oh, sometimes our emotions get in the way of this, guys. Sometimes we get so stuck in our mind and so stuck in judgment about what we created or what we didn't create that we're like, "Oh man, I don't want to go there again. I don't even want to be in the results. I don't want to create something because I'm so fearful that I'm going to do the same thing over again." Guess what? If we're resisting it, then it's persisting everywhere. this theme of what we hold back on or what we're afraid of, we actually create it everywhere. I think the perfect example of this is when I was little and I would get angry. I would storm off to the hallway and my bedroom was at the end of the hallway. I'd storm down the hallway, I'd open the door and I'd close the door. And I didn't even slam it, but I was angry, and the window would be open, and suddenly a gust of wind would enter the bedroom, and it would slam that bedroom door like nobody's business. And I was always so irritated because I was like, I'm not the one who, like, I didn't do that. But the more I fought it, the more everyone realized Katie's having an attitude right now. She's mad. The irony now that I look at that as an adult is that even though I didn't necessarily like put force on that door to slam it, my attitude still 100% influenced and impacted what occurred next. And it just reminds me that we are constantly impacting how we are showing up in our lives, how we are showing up as entrepreneurs, as a brand, as a leader in the world. Every single part of our life gets to be consistent with who we say we want to be. It's not, I'm this way in my business and I'm this way in my personal life. I'm this way with my family and I'm this way with my friends. It's being consistent. It's being in integrity with who you say you want to create, like who you say you want to be, your character, your integrity, your honesty, your trustworthiness. How are you showing up? Are you saying, hey, this is what I want and this is how I'm going to create it, and actually following through? Or are you showing up in your business saying, well, I want to create this, but I'm not going to do the work to get clear on how I'm going to create it? Notice how this is way more about our integrity and our leadership than it is actually about the plan that you take, the road you travel on to create the result. I don't know if you've noticed, but there are so many different ways to create money in this world. There are so many ways to build a business, there are so many ways to get clients, and some of the top level entrepreneurs have different methods that they use to create what they have. It's not about the method. It's about how are you showing up with your word? How are you showing up? Are you determined or are you lazy? Are you confident and trusting in what you are creating and knowing that you can look at it neutrally? You can say, I'm going to create this, I'm going to take action on it, and I'm going to look at my results. Or are you getting really fearful and scared, or you're getting judgy about what you're seeing, and then that makes you upset, and then you're in a mood, right? You wonder why people in your life don't actually love that you're an entrepreneur. I noticed when I first started being an entrepreneur, I was spending hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours down in the basement in my office doing a bunch of things that weren't actually helping my business. And I was getting really annoyed and frustrated. And I wonder why the people around me were like, there's no way I would be an entrepreneur, because that's what they're seeing. Instead of me wanting them to see that I love my work and I love standing for my clients and I love helping leaders be creators and actually create content for their own businesses and brands. Like, I love that. But if I'm showing up frustrated, irritated, overwhelmed, and angry all the time because things aren't going my way, then that's what it looks like. That's what I'm reflecting out in the world. That's what people are seeing. So get curious, get creative with the system that you're using to actually look at the results you're creating and see, are they working? Are they not working? All right, you guys, I know this was a little bit of a longer video, but I hope that served you. And I will check in with you guys later. Have an amazing Friday.